All right, we're here today to debate if Africa exists, and it's my personal stance that it most clearly does not. I mean, who's seriously ever been to Africa? Who knows someone that's been to Africa? How can you even assume that Africa exists? I can't even name more than 2 countries in Africa, and yet Africa is supposed to have like 500 countries in it. I mean, seriously. And not only that, but Africa is the only place in the world where there is extremely widespread world hunger, extremely widespread diseases, constant civil wars. I mean, it is like the biggest pity scam ever. They're asking you to donate money to charities to help Africa, and I don't even think it exists because, I mean, come on, let's face it. Everyone wants you to donate money to something that isn't really legitimate. So I'm pretty sure that Africa doesn't exist. I think that's just a big scam created to get people to donate to charities.
I'm debating for Africa. Yeah, I had to bring up the points that, there are African Americans, there are Sudanese people who run really fast, and they are supported by the video Power Thirst. In Power Thirst, they refer to people from Sudan who run really fast. I mean, you can't refute Power Thirst. It's a pretty legitimate video. And then just because you've never been there or you don't know someone that hasn't been there doesn't mean that it does not exist. I mean, there's people out there that have been there and people that I know that live there. I mean, so it doesn't mean anything if you don't know anyone that hasn't been there before. And also, it's this, they've had pictures of the world from way back when with Africa drawn in. They didn't have Photoshop 500 years ago. I am sorry. They couldn't have Photoshopped Africa in there. So, Africa has to exist.
Obviously, they didn't have cameras 500 years ago. They didn't take pictures 500 years ago. Not to mention that for all you know, Sudan is a fictional country. It could be based in some legitimate country, like Germany, for example. I don't know. And hey, I don't even know how you can say that African Americans qualify as proof of Africa. I mean, it could just be a term for all we know. I'm still not convinced. And how do you know that those people have really gone to Africa? You say that you know people who went there. How do you know they didn't go to Australia, for example?
Well, you know what? See, the thing about this debate is how do you know that we exist? What really is existence? How do you know that? I mean, even if you've seen something, how do you really know it exists? I mean, I thought for the longest time Santa Claus is real. And turns out he's not real. I saw him take off that beard. He was not real. My childhood was crushed. Why are you trying to crush my childhood now? I thought Africa was real my entire life, and now you're crushing it. I'm sorry, but I can't continue. Yes, I'm saying Santa Claus does not exist. Oh, okay.
Remember what you were told, man. Remember Chris Kringle. Can you argue for Santa Claus?
Yeah, sure. All right, so I don't see what your problem is with Santa Claus, though. I mean, just because someone impersonates him doesn't mean he doesn't exist. I mean, you go on to the nighttime comedy shows. Everyone wants to impersonate George Bush or whatever president. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean he doesn't exist. I mean, seriously. And I mean, how else can you explain that people seriously decide to put presents under a tree for no reason and leave cookies and get rid of them? I mean, why go through all the trouble if it isn't legitimate? If Santa Claus doesn't really come and leave presents and eat cookies and fly around in a sleigh with reindeer, I don't know. I mean, and besides, why wouldn't you believe it? Well, have you ever seen proof that he doesn't exist? Have you ever found someone that was able to show that it's physically impossible for Santa to exist? I don't think so. I mean, what's wrong with Santa? I don't get it.
Well, the thing with people impersonating, like impersonating Santa, who wants to impersonate a real person? That's not cool. You want to imitate Superman or the guy from 300 or just something that does something extra extraordinary because it makes you feel good. That's why they impersonate Santa, because he's some super dude. I mean, heck, he's fat, yet he makes it around the globe in less than a night and delivering presents. I mean, people like that kind of stuff. They like to make something that's up, extraordinary, to make their dull, boring office life, which really has no meaning or significance, to make it actually somewhat meaningful. I just don't get it. Why? I mean, he just couldn't exist. Physically impossible.
Well, okay. Well, how about this? You're saying that people that do things that other men don't exist. I mean, Alexander the Great. He was one of the greatest leaders of all time. He conquered humongous expanses of land, and yet you're saying that just because he did something maybe you or I couldn't do, it means he doesn't exist. That doesn't. I don't buy that. I don't see why Alexander the Great didn't exist. And I mean, also, just because people impersonate him doesn't mean that they're necessarily impersonating someone with superpowers. Like I said, what? Oh, I mean, all people.
But the thing is that, boy, what was I going with that? I'm just trying to talk
I don't know,
over
but
you.
I mean, seriously, George Bush is not a superhero, and people impersonate him. What's your problem with that?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, really? Really? I'm pretty sure this doesn't exist. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that he does not exist. You know what? If he did exist,
it would be the truth.
There would
he
be
does
world
exist.
peace. There would be world peace. He could use his magic Santa powers to fix Africa.
Africa doesn't exist.